until he comes my way. Hope he takes the cue when I am saying I am just a little girl who's looking for a little boy, who's looking for a girl to love. Tell me please, where can he be, the loving he who'll bring to me the harmony I'm dreaming of. It'll be goodbye, I know, to my tale of woe when he says hello. So I am just a little girl who's looking for a little boy, who's looking for a girl to love. It'll be goodbye, I know, to my tale of woe when he says hello. So I am just a little girl who's looking for a little boy, who's looking for a girl to love.
Good morning. My name is Susan Reardon. I'm the staff hearing officer, and I call the meeting of Wednesday, April 16th to order. Today we have 2 items on our agenda, and I haven't received any requests for continuances or withdrawals, so we'll hear them in the order that they appear on the agenda. Under announcements and appeals, I have no announcements, and we have no recent appeals. I'll move on to, is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the staff hearing officer on items not on today's agenda? Seeing no one, we'll move to the first project, which is 1146 Nirvana Road. If the applicant would like to come up. Good morning.
Good morning.
Anytime you're ready.
Trying to get my hair out of my microphone for the camera. The lot at 1146 Nirvana is on a 1.7 acre site in the Hillside Design District and is currently developed with a roughly 2,000 square foot single family residence with a detached 957 square foot accessory structure containing a 565 square foot 3-car carport that was converted to a garage without a permit, and a 392 square foot accessory space that was converted to a residential unit without a permit. This proposal is going to abate the violations of construction without permit, as well as the proposal includes 2 new uncovered parking spaces for the additional unit. The discretionary applications before the staff hearing officer today are a modification to provide 2 covered and 2 uncovered parking spaces instead of the 4 required covered parking spaces for the residences. A modification of the minimum distance between buildings. The current buildings are situated 11 feet 4 inches apart from each other, and the minimum distance required is 20 feet. And a performance standard permit to allow an additional dwelling unit on a 1-family zoned lot. You can see the lot here. The boundary of the lot is highlighted in purple, and then the interior setbacks are highlighted in orange. The main residence is located right here. There's an 11-foot-4 distance between it and the accessory building that is going to be used as a residence at the rear and a 2-car garage with storage in the front. If we flipped to the next page, you can see the locations here of the proposed 2 uncovered parking spaces. There are 2 in the garage here. And again, that highlighted distance, 11 feet 4. The proposal includes alterations for new entry landings at the side and the rear of the building. And as we go through the floor plan over here, the upper floor plan that's located here is showing what exists today. The floor plan below is the proposed. They are, there was a bathroom here. They're going to make that storage and convert a portion of that bathroom to an expanded kitchen. They're adding a little pantry area. They're converting a portion of a third bay of carport to bathroom and storage. So this is where that landing is going to occur at the side, and then this is the new entry to the unit that will have a new landing. And you can see the elevations of the building. Staff reviewed the project and confirmed with the fire department that although there's other locations that seem like they would be better suited for these uncovered parking spaces, such as in this area here, which is a turnaround area, the fire department could use that as a resource. It's not a required turnaround, but fire apparatus could use that, and there is a letter in your packet regarding their support of these two uncovered parking spaces and keeping this open at all times for fire use. Transportation has reviewed the minimum garage size. It's slightly smaller than 20 feet deep, and they will approve a parking design waiver for those parking spaces. The project was reviewed at Single Family Design Board on February 24th, and the board forwarded on the project to the staff hearing officer, finding that the modifications were aesthetically appropriate and did not pose consistency issues with the single family residential design guidelines. This project is proposing a new unit, so under CEQA we will need to make an environmental finding under section 15183. So there's a finding contained in your staff report. The site topography is such that there's a steep slope on the side here. We're well outside of the setbacks. Staff felt that the proposed location of these uncovered parking spaces would not impose any adverse impacts on the adjacent neighbors or the public street frontage, since the public street, or private street, I should say, Nirvana's a private street, is way down at the front of the property. The distance between building staff was supportive of that request because it is reutilizing the existing buildings, not expanding the footprint. And there's adequate separation for light and air between the two buildings. One of the findings for the performance standard permit is that the lot area is twice the minimum lot size. This is an R1 zone lot with an estimated average slope of 27%, which requires 2 times the minimum lot area. So that would translate to about 12,000 square feet per unit. This lot is 77,706 square feet. So there's more than adequate lot area. And the second finding is that there's adequate ingress and egress to the lot. And again, I had reviewed this with fire department and transportation, and we feel that there is adequate ingress and egress to the lot. So I recommend approval of the project, subject to the findings in the staff report.
Okay. Do you know if fire actually went out to the site, or did they just review the site plan?
They just reviewed the site plan twice.
Okay. Because I was just wondering, when I was out there, I noticed there was some vegetation kind of overhanging the driveway, and I was wondering if they looked at that for potential trimming of it so they can get a fire engine in, so they haven't gone to the site.
They have not gone to the site. And when I first went there, they were there to talk about, we were talking about an interior remodel of the residence. And so he was saying he would not impose any conditions on the driveway in terms of widening it or anything like that. But then when I went the second time, it was to talk about the ADU. So we went over it twice.
Okay. All right, thank you. You want to state your name for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. For
Suzette Naylor, Thompson Naylor Architects.
Okay.
And Trish Allen with SEPS.
Did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I think staff has been very complete, but of course we're here for questions. Trish
I
and
have
I
a
are-
quick thing.
Okay, good.
Just a quick explanation, which is actually discussed in the staff report. Just Ms. Riegel didn't touch on it. Part of the reconfiguration of the existing space is to also meet a development standard for minimum dwelling unit size, which is 400 square feet, and of just it, maybe Suzette wants to speak to, having the access to the bathroom and
That actually
just
was-
making it flow better on the interior.
Okay, yeah, that was one of my questions, because when I scaled it out with this, although I know it's as-built, well, it is, it came to over 400 square feet, so I was just wondering what the thought process was by changing the location of the bathroom.
It was
Oh,
about
it was
25
about
feet less.
392 or 382 or something like when in the
was
net,
just under.
terms of a net. Because, and you may have noticed, this is an inset entry here, so this is actually exterior out
Maybe I
here.
didn't flip apart.
So
It was close.
it was very close.
It was
They
392
want-
before.
I think
Yeah,
the
it's
client, the
390.
Yeah,
owners wanted.
391, and then adding this area here got it over like 412. But I didn't
Yeah, this
account
part
for
is
the
a little
recess.
removed.
So,
So very close.
That's all I wanted.
And the bathroom is really pretty substandard.
Mm-hmm.
And the plate is low and it's not very nice in there.
okay, because my next question was, since there is 3 covered now, and you're removing one, I know the garage is narrow. The existing one-car part's just 9 feet wide, and
Right.
I'm not sure if does transportation staff. Well, how do they generally view waivers for that narrow of a width in a one-car
When I
garage?
spoke to Mr. Foley,
Okay.
he said as long as we didn't have a wall in between here, he was fine with it.
Okay, did he just look at this area, or did he look at this one too?
He looked at the existing situation, and I said we were going to convert to
Okay, so
storage.
yeah, since it was proposed to be converted, he didn't really analyze it.
No.
Okay. All right. I think those are my questions. Okay, so I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to address the staff hearing officer and items on this project? No, see no one. Did we receive any letters on this?
No.
No? Okay. I'll close the public hearing. I actually do have one more question regarding laundry. Is there laundry proposed, or?
I guess we'll have to fit one in there. Or, well, imagine we can, instead of pantry, put it there.
Little stacking unit right
Yeah,
there.
right.
Well, I would like to put a condition on it that the laundry not be located in the garage, since it is so substandard.
That's fine.
And I know it's a small unit, maybe the owner's not proposing to add one, but just so if the future owner wants to
Yes.
add a laundry, make sure it's not in the garage.
Makes sense.
Okay, so those are all my comments. Yeah, I went out to the site, and like I said, and visited the neighborhood. And in terms of the development on the site, it's interesting because when I looked at the project, my first reaction was, well, why can't they put the garage right here? There's adequate area. It's the natural idea. Then this unit has 2 parking spaces with, contained, and then this is close to the new unit, to the existing home. And then, I saw the letter from the fire department, and in terms of the 2-car garage, I don't have really a concern with the uncovered parking, as staff had indicated that it is not visible from the public street. And another point about that is also if it was zoned single family, you could look for that exemption of having 2 covered and 2 uncovered, and that it is single family, R1. But it could potentially qualify for that, but, if it was a different situation. But in terms of your proposal for the uncovered parking spaces, it doesn't impact the existing situation. In terms of you still have adequate access to the garage. This parking space is off to the side and an uncovered parking space. So I could support the request for the modification of the parking standard. In regards to the distance between main buildings, again, it's an existing situation. I do realize that the garage was a carport that was been converted to a garage without the benefit of a permit, but it is an existing situation, and it only impacts the people that are living on site. It's not going to have any off-site impacts, so I can support that modification too. And in regards to the performance standard permit, it's a small unit. It's appropriate for the site. It meets some of our housing goals. I think, this is a situation where it is appropriate. It meets all the standards. So given that, I can make the findings, outline the staff report, including the environmental finding, and approve the project subject to the condition of approval that staff had proposed, and then also adding the new one regarding the laundry, and approve your project. And my action is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 calendar days. And they also have oversight authority of all my actions. And if they felt this warranted additional discussion before them, they could call it up during that same 10-day appeal period.
Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Thanks, Susie.
The next project is 1003A Santa Barbara Street. If the applicant would like to come up. Morning.
So this project site is a roughly 2,000 square foot interior lot located off of Santa Barbara Street. The site is highlighted here in yellow. It does take access across the parcel owned. It's this big parcel here owned by Mr. Farsay. The proposed project will convert an existing 1,775 square foot one-story commercial building to a residential garage and construct a 2,030 square foot two-story addition above for the purposes of a single-family dwelling unit. There will be a total of 969 square feet of deck area provided on the second floor and third story roof. And the project is requiring 4 interior setback mods and a open yard mod to provide the open space on an upper level. So as we go to the site plan, you can see the existing garage up here. You can see the orange highlight is showing the location of the interior setbacks on all 4 sides of the existing building. They're converting the use, like I said, from a commercial warehouse use to residential parking garage on that floor. We're utilizing the existing building, and we do have several buildings that abut the adjacent property lines built at a 0 setback. On the second floor here, again, I've highlighted the setback in orange. You can see that the staircase coming up from the garage, as well as a small portion of the residential unit itself, is located in the interior setback. I'm sorry, I should have looked at the north arrow before I flipped the page.
North goes that way.
Yeah, to the west. There will be deck area in the front here, as well as off to this southern side. On the third floor, again, the setbacks get slightly larger on the third floor, so you can see there's just a narrow ribbon of areas outside of the setback, keeping the staircase close to the westerly property line. And then on the roof deck is, the majority of the roof deck is located in that interior setback, both to the north and west, and to the east, actually, a little ribbon there. So the project is to locate the private outdoor living space on something other than grade, and in this case, the majority of that outdoor living space is on the second floor plan. There's an area here that meets the private outdoor living spaces and located outside of the setback. So it's 10% of the lot area, roughly 205 square feet, that is being located on the second floor or higher for open space, and then the encroachments that I just discussed in each of the interior setbacks. Staff is supportive of these encroachments into the interior setbacks because we are reutilizing the existing commercial building footprint. We do have construction of neighboring structures up to and abutting the property lines that do have a setback on the west and the south. The commercial use here is an unpaved parking lot that may or may not be permitted at this time. The use on the podium for open space is supportable because there's really no ground unless a portion of the building is to be demolished to be utilized. Staff has recommended a condition of approval that if any portion of the commercial building is demolished, that the applicant does need to return to the planning division to consider whether the modifications are still acceptable or if additional modifications are needed. Staff supported these interior setback modifications is because they're reutilizing that building. I can't remember if I had any other conditions than that. Nope, that's the only condition I have. The project was reviewed by Historic Landmarks Commission on November 20th, January 29th, and February 12th. And at the February 12th hearing, the HLC did go over the neighborhood compatibility analysis and did find that the project generally complies with all the compatibility analysis findings in the ordinance. They did do some graphic simulations. I think they're back in the back. Showing views to and from the courthouse here. So this is before the project. And this is after project with the building infilled here. And this is a view before project looking down towards the project area. And I think that's
Right, this one here.
yeah, right there. I don't have anything else to add unless the applicant has anything to say.
Okay, would you like to state your name for the record and provide additional comments?
Hi, Jarrett Gorin from Vanguard Planning, and I've got Robert Dibley with me. He's the property owner. So 4 out of 5 of the modifications that we have here are the direct result of converting from a commercial or mixed use into a residential use, and they're for the most part triggered by the existing building configuration that's on the site. So this is an adaptive reuse project. We're taking this warehouse shell, basically removing the roof and putting a new residence up on top of it. And we understand that staff support of those 4 modifications is directly tied to the fact that we're reusing that building. And so we're totally okay with that condition. We did have Paul Belmont from Ashley Vance evaluate this building before we ever even acquired it, and he determined it structurally feasible to support exactly what we're doing on it. So this project really, the only way it works is if we're preserving that building. And then given that building, if we were to call it commercial, it wouldn't require those 4 mods. But our intent's to use it as a residential garage to serve the residents on top. So we're calling it residential, therefore triggers these 4 modifications. We do have buildings with 0 setbacks against 2 of our property boundaries, and we have property on the other 2 sides that could theoretically be developed to a 0 setback. So in addition to staff's analysis in the report, my letter that I submitted has additional analysis, which is consistent with staff's, but even additional information in support of those modifications. Generally that if we were to do the required setbacks, we wouldn't be gaining anything that is what the purpose of a setback is for. We would end up with a 6-foot sort of unusable space between our building and existing buildings next door. And then also, I think if we can turn back to this page, this is a really good exhibit. A lot of my letter talks about what would happen if we were to strictly adhere to these residential only setbacks. We're in a C2 zone, so it's actually commercial. But you can see what this does to available building envelope. We've only got about 25 feet to work with, and we're cutting out a portion of that to provide outdoor living space. We actually have far in excess of the required amount of living space. Staff has identified the fact that we're meeting the outdoor living space, and it's on the same level as all of the residential area. So it makes more sense to have it up there where people are actually living instead of at grade where they have to walk down to it. But once you take that open space out, we're down to 17 or 18 feet, and if we go down even narrower than that, we sort of have an unusable development envelope. So the HLC, when they reviewed this, were highly supportive of developing residential uses downtown. I think the city in general is supportive of that, and you don't see these projects too often, at least not yet, and we're excited to be able to convert this sort of obsolete warehouse building into something new and reuse the majority of that structure. So that's all I have to add. Robert, do you want to cover anything?
No, not really. I've spoken to some of the other owners in the area, notably Gerald Beaver and Dennis Peterson, and they both are fully supportive of this. That's really it.
And then just two questions I have, or two, just if you can explain a little bit more. One is in regards to the parking. You're proposing an interesting parking element. And then also in this 3-foot area, it says planted roof deck, or planted roof or deck. So just what is planned? I see there's walls and stuff, but if you can explain a little more what's proposed in this 3-foot area and then the parking.
I'll explain the parking. So basically, inside the shell of this building is an unrestricted area, and the reason Mr. Dibley bought this property and was interested in this building is he has a car collection. So this is where he's going to store his car collection, but all of the spaces in there are accessible. And what we needed to do is this turntable is required in order, we only have about a 9-foot opening available to get in and out of our building. We have access easements that are, this is our property itself, and then we have easements which cover this entire 14 feet or so, all the way through to Santa Barbara Street. And we currently have this triangular easement, but we're not relying on that for any access. So we basically designed this to use only the 14 feet that we have, and the turntable allows vehicles to get into and out of all of this parking garage. And we have 2 required spaces, so we're meeting those, and then we've got some additional spaces in there for basically vehicle storage. And on this roof area, this is allowing some light down into the garage below through the skylights, and I think they just, has David just not decided whether it's going to be planted or whether
He said he's going to be planted.
On the schematics, it looks like it is, but I
It's
just
planted.
wanted you to,
Yeah.
looks like there's some plants
Low
spilling
water.
over in one of them that I saw.
Yes.
It was-
That's the intent, is that they will have
planted.
plants there.
It basically gives us a little relief on that elevation so that we don't have one solid mass going all the way up, because this is one of the elevations that's actually visible without a building right up against it on an adjacent property. And then it lets us get some natural lighting into the far end of the garage, which has no lighting at all. It's pretty dark back there because it's really long.
And there's no windows on it.
And there's no windows anywhere, and there cannot be any windows anywhere because this is all on zero
right.
setback.
Yeah.
So that's the one way we have to get some light down in there, and it saves us having to turn on the lights all the time.
Okay.
Speaking to that, I did speak with Building and Safety about, these are also little
Fire-rated glass blocks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this does meet building code, as well as the skylights into the garage does meet building code. So I verified that for you. And transportation did look at the turntable solution.
Okay.
I spoke about that. And
No.
we also received a letter from Mr. Peterson in support of the project.
I think that was my questions for right now. So I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to address the staff hearing officer on this item? No, see no one. Like you said, I did receive this letter. Oh, you can have yours. From Dennis Peterson in support of the project. Thinks it would be an improvement to the area. And this was the only one? Okay, so I'll close the public hearing. I went out to the site and looked at the site in the surrounding neighborhood. And, it's a mix of different uses and, part of the downtown core. And in terms of the use of residential, I think that is an appropriate use in this area. It is interesting to note, I don't remember if you went into in your presentation, that if it was all commercial or mixed use, you would have 0 setbacks. But the fact it's all residential, now you have these setbacks, which is a interesting quandary, especially when you're trying to use an existing building and be environmentally minded in that sense. Don't waste, if it's a good building, reuse it. So that is a hardship per se, just because it is an existing situation. In terms of your property here now, do you have some kind of easement for other ones? Because I noticed when I was there, they were barbecuing out here on this trash.
That's an issue, but we haven't decided to address it until all the plans are approved, assuming they're all approved.
Okay.
But that is something that will not be continuing.
Okay, because that would impede access to your
Yes.
garage, and so I was just wondering what kind of thing, I notice your property, is there any other easements that would affect the accessibility of your garage?
Let me address that. I think it's important to address that specifically in the record. No other party holds an easement over our property.
Okay.
We hold easements over the adjacent property.
Meaning this
meaning,
one? Or
meaning
over
well,
here?
this whole property is one property. So it goes like this and like that. And then our property comes in here
okay.
like this. So
Okay.
his property comes like this and comes up like that and goes that way. Ours comes here and has this little panhandle on it. And we've had ongoing issues with the adjacent property owners storing trash containers in our easements, for example, and restricting access. They have removed those, and everything was fine. And then recently, this barbecue has showed up, and not only appears to be within our easements, but it appears to be on our property. So that is a matter between us and the adjacent property owner, which we will be addressing with them. But they don't have any legal rights to either restrict our access within those easements or utilize any portion of our property for any purpose whatsoever.
Okay. Yeah, that was my question, was what kind of, if there was any easements, because I would have a concern with blocking access to your
As
garage.
do we.
Okay, all right, great. I think that was my last question. So in terms of your modifications you are proposing, like I said, residential use is appropriate use down here. You have a unique situation that you're proposing the residential, which causes constraints on your property. In regards to your requested modifications in the interior setbacks, I think they are all appropriate. I like the fact that you're proposing the sides of the buildings that currently don't have buildings adjacent to them to be open. So you're respecting the setback along the, this is the east, right?
Yes.
The east property line, you're respecting it in terms of the building. You are having open yard area there, but that's, any setback can be used for, open yard is not, totally devoid of anything. You just can't, structures are an issue in there. And then in regards to the north setback area, you're providing a 3-foot setback, encroaching a little bit, but again, having some open area between the adjacent properties. And then along your south property line, there's an existing 2-story building that is about 3/4 of the length, and that is appropriate there, I believe, to build up to the property line. You've addressed the potential building code issues of having residential use on the property line, and again, on the
South.
the west. No,
South.
this is okay. South property line. The areas. These are 1-story buildings. The building area is set back. I mean, there's some use of the stairways, but again, it's all appropriate. It's downtown. I don't believe it's overbuilding of the site. In regards to the open yard or the outdoor living space modification, I believe, as you had said in your presentation, I agree with you in terms of it wouldn't make sense to have the outdoor living space on the ground level when the ground level is proposed to be parking. Even if the building were to be demolished and rebuilt, in terms of the outdoor living space, you want it on the area where you're going to be using it. And again, this is a downtown parcel, and the 10% open yard area is not only to be usable, but also to provide relief and stuff. And I think the way the project's designed with some setbacks on either side and no setbacks pushed back towards where there's existing buildings, I think it's appropriate to propose your outdoor living space adjacent to the areas that you're actually living in. And so with that, I can support your requested modifications. However, I do want to change the findings. In the findings, it talks about, in regards to the interior setback modifications, it talks about one of the reasons why it's appropriate is because the adjacent commercial buildings are not required to observe a zoning setback. Well, if that's really a finding, we really should amend the whole code not to have residential setbacks. So what I would like to change that to say is recognizing the fact that on these two, the south and the east property line, there are existing buildings that are built to the setback. So it would say,
South and west.
yeah, whichever ones they are. I kept having to go back and forth through the different ones. So pretty much what I just want to change is that you're reusing the existing building, and it's located adjacent to existing commercial buildings that are constructed on the common property line. So just changing it from observing the setback to. So that'd be the same for the first one for the south and eastern, and then for the western one, recognizing that the residence is an allowed use in the zone, and again, recognizing that there's an existing commercial building that's constructed on the common property line, and that the proposed residential use and building additions are not anticipated to adversely affect the commercial neighborhood. And then for the north property line over here, again, recognizing that the proposed residence is allowed use in the zone, and the project will reuse the existing building, and then cut out the part where it talks about not requiring to do zero setback, and then adding a sentence. The proposed 3-foot interior setback allows for separation and a planter area between the proposed residential use and the adjacent commercial parking lot. So it's just more recognizing what it is and doing that. And then the last change would be the outdoor living space is to state that it says the proposed outdoor living space on the second and higher floors is appropriate because it meets the intent of providing outdoor living space for the residents. And then it goes on to so just adding that one just to make it more clear, the reasoning and justification why I can approve the project. In regards to conditions of approval, staff is proposing that one condition, and you guys have indicated you're fine with that. I don't believe I need to add any additional conditions, especially in the fact since you said that the use of this area is not, there's not a current easement. So that would be my only concern if I'd need to add a condition, just that this be kept clear. But you guys are pursuing that avenue, and so I don't believe that condition is warranted because that's your desire and you're not proposing to change that. So with the amendments to the findings that I went over with you, I can approve the project subject to the proposed condition. My action is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 calendar days. They also have oversight authority of all my actions, and if they felt this warranted additional discussion before them, they could call it up during that same 10-day appeal period. And if that was to happen, Suzanne would contact you.
Okay,
Great.
thank you. Thank you.
I adjourn the meeting.
Your lips that are cool and sweet, such tenderness lies in their soft caress. My heart forgets to beat. The touch of your hands upon my head, the love in your eyes a shine, and now at last the moment's divine, the touch of your lips on mine. The touch of your lips upon my brow, your lips that are cool and sweet, such tenderness lies in their soft caress. My heart forgets to beat. The touch of your hands upon my head, the love in your eyes a shine, and now at last the moment divine, the touch of your lips on mine.
till you come back to me. That's the way it will be every day in the life of a fool. A day in the life of a fool, a sad and a long, lonely day. I walk the avenue, hoping to run into the welcome sight of you coming my way. I stop just across from your door, but you're never there anymore. So back to my room, and here in the gloom I cry tears of goodbye till you come back to me. That's the way it will be every day in the life of a fool. I stop just across from your door, but you're never there anymore. So back to my room, and here in the gloom I cry tears of goodbye till you come back to me. That's the way it will be every day in the life of a fool. Come back to me, come back to me. Come back.
You made me love you. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. You made me want you. And all the time you knew it. I guess you always knew it. You made me happy sometimes. You made me glad. But there were times you made me feel so bad. You made me sigh, for I didn't want to tell you. I didn't want to tell you. I want some love that's true. You know I do. Give me what I cry for. You know you've got the brand of kisses that I die for. You know you made me love you. Give me what I cry for. You know you've got the brand of kisses that I die for. You know you made me love you.
You can use some exotic views. There's a bar in far Bombay. Come fly with me, let's fly away. Come fly with me, let's float down to Peru. In Lama Land there's a one-man band and he'll toot his flute for you. Come fly with me, let's take off in the blue. Once I get you up there where the air is rarefied, we'll just glide starry-eyed. Once I get you up there, I'll be holding you so near you may hear angels cheer 'cause we're together. Weather-wise it's such a lovely day. Just say the words and we'll beat the birds down to Acapulco Bay. It's perfect for a flying honeymoon, they say. Come fly with me, let's fly away. I get you up there where the air is rarefied, we'll just glide starry-eyed. Once I get you up there, I'll be holding you so near you may hear angels cheer 'cause we're together. Weather-wise it's such a lovely day. Just say the words and we'll beat the birds down to Acapulco Bay. It's perfect for a flying honeymoon, they say. Come fly with me, come on, let's fly away.
I got a right to sing the blues. I I got a right to feel low down. I got a right to hang around, down around the river. A certain man in this old town keeps dragging my poor heart around. All I see for me is misery. I got a right to sing the blues. I got a right to moan and sigh. I got a right to sit and cry down around the river. I know the deep blue sea will soon be calling me. It must be love, say what you choose. I got a right to sing the blues. I got a right to sit and cry down around the river. I know the deep blue sea will soon be calling me. It must be love, say what you choose. I got a right to sing the blues. I'll tell the world I've paid my dues. I've got a right to sing the blues.
It's something daring, the continental way of dancing that's really ultra new. It's very subtle, the continental, because it does what you want it to do. It has a passion, the continental, an invitation, moonlight romance. It's quite the fashion, the continental, because you tell of your love while you dance. Your lips whisper so tenderly, her eyes answer your song. Two bodies swaying, the continental, and you are saying just what you're thinking of. So keep on dancing, the continental, for it's the song of romance and of love. You kiss, kiss, kiss while you're dancing. How you sing while you're dancing. You know before the dance is through that you're in love with her. She's in love dancing. There's a rhythm in your heart and soul, a certain rhythm that you can't control. You will do the continental all the time.
We'll have a blue room, a new room for two room, where every day's a holiday because you're married to me. Not like a ballroom, a small room, a hall room, where I can smoke my pipe away with your wee head upon my knee. We will thrive on, keep alive on, just nothing but kisses with Mr. and Mrs. on little blue chairs. You'll sow your trousseau, Robinson Crusoe is not so far from worldly care as our blue room far away upstairs. Yes, we'll thrive on, keep alive on, just nothing but kisses with Mr. and Mrs. sitting on a little blue chair. You'll sow your trousseau, and Mr. Robinson Crusoe is not so far from worldly care as our blue room far away upstairs. It's a new room, and it's a blue